Yes, perfect. Well, good morning. I'm so pleased to have an opportunity to report to you some of the work that we've done in Malaysia that could be instructive as you plan towards your broadband deployment, whether it is fiber or 4G. So, as you just heard from Aaron, YTL is a fairly large conglomerate. We tend to look at things in the long-term perspective. That's precisely why we decided that in spite of the fact that we have an opportunity to raise capital to build this network, we decided to fund this network ourselves. So far, we've invested about $850 million for this network. We have built the world's first converged 4G network. We launched 30 months ago, complete with IP telephony with an IMS backbone. What it means is that customers can use our 4G network in addition to making and receive phone calls, SMS, so on and so forth. Now, we built a fairly significant 4G network. It is indeed the largest 4G network in Southeast Asia, with coverage of 85% population. But the most important thing is size does matter, but quality, I think, is even more important. As you heard from Kelvin just now, it's not just about having connectivity. It's having high-speed, low-latency connectivity that brings to life what the best of the internet has to offer. So towards that end, I think nothing can run away from public opinion and crowdsourcing of data. This is from speedtest.net, which is, I would imagine, the most accurate and most transparent way of measuring ISP performance. And we are pleased to say that month after month after month, for the last 30 months in a row, we are rated as the fastest wireless ISP in the country. Now, our vision is not just about building a network. With all due respect, with enough capital and smart people, dedicated individuals, we can build networks. But our vision is about enabling a new internet-driven economy in Malaysia. As we all know, Malaysia is an emerging economy. We have an opportunity, using this network, to help Malaysia leapfrog. It's not a simple concept, but I think we have a method that can help drive that. I think cloud computing is something that requires no introduction to this room. All of you are quite convinced, I think, that cloud computing is indeed the future. It's happening in the consumer internet space. It is also happening in the enterprise internet space. So let's imagine Malaysia is an emerging economy. We have a very young populace of median age of only 26 years old. It is a country of 28 million population. What if we were to enable the whole generation of workforce to be cloud savvy? Wouldn't that be an amazing opportunity to create innovation that is sustainable, that can touch lives, that can improve lives at a national level? We think so. So towards that end, we work with the Malaysian government to create a project called One Bestarinet. One Bestarinet is a mix of Malay word. Bestari means best. So what's One Bestarinet? It is, in our opinion, the world's first national learning cloud for all public schools. What that means is that leveling the playing field across the entire country, whether you're in a rich neighborhood in Kuala Lumpur or in a fishing village somewhere in East Malaysia where you won't even get internet properly, you now have an opportunity to have world-class access to the internet using the fastest 4G network that the country has seen thus far. But beyond that, we also develop a content learning platform. What it means is that it is not just internet connectivity that we deliver to the school. That is not interesting. It's about what you can do with the internet connectivity that can enable the next generation of learning opportunities for the school children and for the teachers as well. In fact, we go on one step further. We also believe that the parents should be intimately involved in the children's education. So as such, we have also provisioned access to all parents in the public school system. So in total, there are 10 million folks that have been provisioned on this learning cloud, about 5 million students, 4 million and change parents, plus the teacher and staff in the education system. All 10,000 schools now are able to get to the internet and use this learning platform to be able to get ahead. Now, this learning platform comprises of 4 major components. The first component, first and foremost, is the network. After all, if you don't have high performance, low latency access to the internet, you won't be able to use the cloud. Next is what you do with the cloud. So with this learning platform called the Frog, Frog, for those that came from the UK, you might have heard about Frog. Frog actually is a UK-based ICT learning company. In fact, it's won the BETS award last year for best in class ICT technology in the education space in the UK market. So we made a small investment in Frog a few years ago when we saw this opportunity, and we have this tremendous excitement about transforming education using our network. So we help Frog transform the platform from a premise-based platform to a cloud-based platform. So now that we start deploying this network, we decided to take a stronger stake in Frog, and now we are the majority stakeholder of Frog. So together with Frog, we have this learning platform that can digitize the entire curriculum online. Teachers can create curriculum online, can assign homework online. Students can actually participate and be able to complete their assignment using Google Apps through our partnership with Google. Every single one of those students and parents and teachers now all have access to Google Apps. So they can actually submit the homework simply by sharing that homework with the teacher. There's no more excuse of my dog ate my homework last night. And to make things even more interesting, students can collaborate with each other using Google Docs. They can do chat online in a closed walled garden scenario based on the education domain. And most importantly, across schools and between schools across country, they now have ability to extend the learning experience. The next thing that we've done is that we've built a protected network. Now, we have a 4G network. What we've built is rather interesting. Our team built what we call a layer 3 isolation network boundary. What that means is that as you sign on to the network, just because we know that you're in the education domain, immediately you're in this nationwide VLAN. It's content filtered and it's policy controlled. So offensive materials will not get into the students' hands, no matter how hard they try to hit the enter key. The bottom line is that with this network, we now have ability to really do something quite unique. So let me show you a quick video to contextualize this.
Bila besar nanti, saya nak jadi doktor. Cikgu Utian kata, kalau nak jadi doktor yang hebat, kenalah pandai cakap bahasa Inggeris juga. Cikgu Utian rajin mengajar kami, tapi kadang-kadang bahasa Inggeris memang susah. Semuanya berubah apabila Cikgu Utian berkenalan dengan Miss Lu dari Sekolah Kebangsaan Sri Petaling melalui Frog. Kedua-dua guru mendapat idea untuk meningkatkan tahap dan kemahiran bahasa Inggeris di sekolah kami. Kami ditugaskan bekerjasama dengan murid-murid di Sri Petaling untuk menghasilkan laman web tentang perayaan Hari Raya. Kami berkongsi survey dengan menggunakan Google Docs. Maklumat yang diterima digunakan sebagai research. Bila ada sesuatu perkataan yang kami tak faham, kami tanya murid-murid dari SK Sri Petaling dengan menggunakan Google Hangout.
My parents took me shopping for some raya clothes last week. They bought me a nice baju kurung and leather sandals.
What is sandals? Mungkin kasut kot.
You don't know what sandals are? Let me show you a picture.
Tengoklah screenshot dia. Oh, my sister has something like that. She says very comfortable. Dalam 2 minggu sahaja, kami berjaya membina laman web tentang Hari Raya yang betul-betul hebat sambil meningkatkan mutu bahasa Inggeris kami. Terima kasih, Frog.
So we've twinned 2 schools. One school, as you saw with that little girl, she's actually in a district called Petaling Jaya, which is one of the more affluent neighborhoods in Kuala Lumpur. And that young boy and the classmate, they're actually about 1 hour south of the Thailand border, which is in a rural town. So what we've done is that we now have leveled the playing field, that even the kids in the more impoverished part of the country now have access to the same world-class content and learning ability as those kids in the big cities. I think that's the single most important thing that we're doing for the country. So the One Bus Starter experience comprised of 3 different focus areas. Number 1 is a technology platform. I think we covered that. But one thing I've noticed that we've also worked with Google to bring to Malaysia this Chromebook. Chromebook, as you heard from our speaker this morning from Alcatel-Lucent, as well as from our friends from KPN, mobile devices absolutely is the key to the future. But when it comes to student, content creation is quite important. And it's very hard to use a touchpad to create content. Imagine typing a paper using your iPad. But having a full-size keyboard, Chromebook does have tremendous advantage being a cloud device, which means that it's got zero maintenance, it's also quite convenient for the deployment at scale. We've also worked with Google to bring about the collaboration platform, which is the second key pillar. And we also have this Frog store. We work with Khan Academy. Many of you have heard about Khan Academy. We work with British Council. We work with numerous other content providers on the internet to bring world-class education content into this platform. So the key point is that the kids no longer just have to learn based on the national education curriculum. They can also use the Frog store, which is basically the content store, as part of the Learning Cloud, to have access to world-class content, and they can learn as fast as they want to and as slow as they want to drill down on one single subject. And last but not least, we also have engagement models to bring in world-class speakers. We have Nate Vujicic, the man without limbs, you might have heard about him, to Malaysia just about 2 months ago, and by end of this year, we'll bring Professor Sugata Mitra, who won the TED Prize through an experiment called Hole in the Wall, that talk about how kids in the slums in India, with a computer, they can figure out how to use the computer and create value. I mean, these are important global level exposure that we want to bring the country to, so they have the confidence and conviction to drive this program. So in the last 18 months, since the commencement of this project, we have delivered internet connectivity to over 8,500 schools. And by end of this year, end of November, based on our current plan, we'll complete all 10,000 schools having connected to the internet and able to use this learning platform. Now, I'd like to wrap up with one final video. I think you've heard enough from me already. So this video is actually the keynote speech by Sundar Pichai, who is the Senior Vice President at Google, at the Google I/O conference just a few months ago in San Francisco. Sundar, he is the Senior VP responsible for Chrome, for Google Apps, as well as for Android. So he's a rather well-known figure in the tech circle. He is Mr. Platform, if you would, at Google. So we work with Sundar's team quite closely on this, and here's what he has to say.
It's great to see Android making its foray into education. We're going to invest a lot. We've already been doing this with Chromebooks. Chromebooks are really ideally suited for education because there's literally no setup, no administration. You open the device, you're good to go, and you have the power of web within you. Just last year alone, we have over 1,000 schools in the United States running Chromebooks. In the 4 months this year, we have added 2,000 new schools, and Chromebooks are going mainstream in education in schools in the United States, just like Google Apps. And the area where this all came together beautifully is Malaysia. So I want to talk about that for a minute. Malaysia has a nationalized education system. They have 10,000 schools in the country distributed, several of them in poor rural areas. So they really wanted to provide 4G connectivity throughout to all 10,000 schools to level the playing field, and they are deploying Google Apps along with Chromebooks in primary and secondary schools so that they can bring computing in their schools. So let's take a look at what they're doing.
Malaysia has so much to offer. There's so much untapped potential. Just to walk into one of these small villages and look at the eyes of those children in that school, you see that spark, little fire in their eyes. There's this whole world out there that would allow you to experience learning beyond what you ever thought possible.
And a lot of our students don't have internet access. A lot of them were just left behind.
In Malaysia, we place a huge investment in the education of our young children.
We're providing 4G connectivity to all schools across the country. And the fact that we can spread it across 10,000 schools is amazing.
Learning had to be anytime, any place. You didn't have to be in a state-of-the-art classroom, but you could be with a Chromebook sitting in a field and experiencing world-class learning.
It is so exciting to be a part of education in Malaysia today. This power that you place in a child's hand and you say the web is your school. Go and learn.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, it's not about the network. It's what we do with the network that can create value. We believe that our story hopefully has some relevance to you. And I look forward to engaging you with more dialogues. I have 12 seconds on the clock. Maybe a question or half.